Six.
Okay, boys and girls, welcome back. Redmissed in the house once again. How you doing? I hope everyone's doing great. I'm doing great, and we, my friends, are playing a little bit more F1 Manager. Now, I want to go ahead and say I am sorry that I haven't posted a few videos lately, but I did take a little break from the game because of a few like personal life stuff and things, but you can see today, guys, we are going to be trying out a completely new car setup. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be a very good setup. I'm not saying that this is going to be a very bad setup. But what I am going to tell you is this is going to be a very quick setup. Now, something that I have noticed in this game is I believe it was 2 days ago they did go ahead and buff. We're also gonna race in Series 10 here. They did go ahead and buff the overtaking. Now, although it hasn't been buffed very much, it has made aerodynamics a little bit more viable. So because of that, we have got the need for speed, and we are literally going to try and beef up the car. I literally have my car set up right now to completely ignore how good grip and aerodynamics, how good grip, power, and pit time is, and it is literally the best aerodynamics I can get on the car to see how damn quick I can make this bad boy. And as you can see right there, Kimi Räikkönen coming in huge with his consistency, Grosjean with his horrendously bad consistency, qualifying pretty far down the pack. Now, I will admit I did have a few races beforehand, so if you paid attention to my chests, I have actually got 3 gold chests from Series 10 in a row, and a normal chest. So you can see that this car setup can race in Series 10. It's kind of down to how good my opponent is. Now, I was hoping that my opponent wasn't going to be too strong, considering that he did have like 3,000 flags, whereas I don't have I only have like 2.8 thousand. But we're going to go ahead, slow it down a little bit here. Grosjean actually didn't really do very well at all there. But hey, that's just the way it is. At least Kimi Räikkönen is doing pretty good. I kind of expect Grosjean to do really bad in predominantly every race. Because consistency now is a huge part of qualifying. Unlike in the 2019 season, consistency was... It was supposed to be a big part of the game, but it just really wasn't. So now consistency is actually very, very big. So pairing consistency with either really good defense or really good overtaking is kind of what you need, in my opinion, still for the 2020 season. But one thing that I did notice as well on this as well, guys, I'm saying as well a lot in this video, and I apologize for that, but this game in 2020 is now very dependent on you bringing the correct setup for the area that you're racing. Now, if you don't really know how to set your car up, you're probably gonna struggle in quite a bit of these races, because you do need to predominantly focus your car around where you're racing. So, for example, Series 10 is a very fast set of tracks. The only track that you're really going to have problems with that isn't predominantly focused around speed is, I believe, that you do get Monaco in Series 10. Because I believe Monaco's in like Series 6, Series 7, 8, 9, and 10, I think. So you will have a little bit of problems in Monaco if you are predominantly focused on speed, the same as me. But then you can kind of work it on the numbers, because if even though you might face Monaco a fair bit, you're probably still going to win the majority of your races because they are predominantly speed tracks. So do pay attention to like the area you're racing in to see whether you do need to set your car up for more grip, more speed, or even a 50-50 balance, because it is super important that you get your car set up right in the 2020 season. Now, I've been seeing a few people on other people's videos, because even though I haven't been posting videos and I haven't been playing the game a huge amount over the last couple of days, I have still been checking out a few YouTube videos and stuff. And I've been seeing people comment about like how they can't win races because of like blah blah blah, or they're stuck in Series 4 because their car's not good enough. And it really isn't about the fact that your car isn't good enough. It's literally about the fact that you have set your car up wrong. Because if you're racing in, say, Series 4, for example, you're gonna have, like, what do you have in Series 4? I believe you have Bahrain, you have, is America still in Series 4, or is that in Series 5 now? But either way, I know that Series 4 is a predominantly a little bit faster tracks. So if you're running like such as my old setup in my other videos, because I do prefer power and grip, but if you focus your car on power and grip, then you're going to have no speed for those straights. Like, for example, this track right here, if you come into this track and your car is like 65 power and 60 grip, but you've only got like 40 aerodynamics, you're probably going to struggle, because your other people are going to have such a more powerful car than you on the straights. And this track is predominantly straight. So this one little section that I'm just gone through, like that Grosjean's on now, even though it is a lot of turning, it's still fairly long straights. Now, Kimi Raikkonen is on a huge straight. Half of the track is a straight. So if you have no speed, you're not going to get anywhere in this on this track. So bear that in mind. But you can see here, we're very nice and comfortably running around this track. And even though I've been blabbering on like crazy, and I've not really been prioritizing how to race this track perfectly, you can see here that we've still done really good. I'm pretty sure my opponent is really far back because he's tried using a double soft pit strat. Now, I will suggest, guys, even though aerodynamics has now come into play, you still don't want to do a double soft strat. So please, in my opinion, if you're trying to go 4 laps on hard tyres, and then, like, say you pit in on lap 4 for soft tyres, and then you pit on lap 6 for another set of soft tyres, so you're doing a 4-2-2 strategy, don't do it. It's just not worth it. If you can't, like, sometimes you still are going to get stuck behind cars, and it's going to cause you a huge problem. So just bear that in mind, because obviously, even though overtaking has come into this game, you are going to struggle if you don't pay attention to the things that you're doing. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to purposely, you're going to see now, this car setup, for example, if I drop down into like Series 7, so for example, we have Monaco and we have Singapore, is it Singapore here? Malaysia. So now the third track isn't in the game yet, so you only have a 50-50 chance of these 2 tracks. Now, both of these tracks are very heavy focused on grip. So if you don't have good power and good grip, and obviously good consistency on your drivers, you're gonna have a problem. Now, this is why I've purposely left Grosjean in, because he has bad consistency. We've hit Monaco, so we're gonna really struggle here because our car is set up for speed. The only thing that we can pray for right now is that I get a hugely good qualifying lap, and if I don't, I've already lost the race. So you can see here, that's a 10th and a 15th. That is such a bad qualifying lap for my drivers, considering that in Monaco, if you're out qualified by your opponent, you're gonna lose. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to purposely quit this game, but I'm going to show you literally just how important it is. Like, look at this this start off of the line. Now, if you don't get a huge start off of the line, now look, watch. I'm not going to overtake anyone because I don't have the power or the grip on the car to overtake anyone. Like, this is how it is. Like, this is what Monaco's like. This is what Singapore's like. This is what Japan is like. Hungary is like. There's so many tracks in this game that if you're not set up perfectly, you are gonna struggle. Like, look at the amount of speed that my car has, and I've managed to overtake one person or two people. Like, you know, there's literally nothing that I can do. Like, look at this, you know. So I'm going to go ahead, after showing that, I'm going to shut this down, and I'm going to reopen. I might edit this little bit out where I've opened it, but to be honest, I'm too lazy. I'm probably not going to edit it out. I'm not going to lie. But we can very quickly go and do the exact same track, but with my old car setup. So literally, like, my old car setup is literally go straight in with the, oh my god, it's blocking where I need to be, move out of the way, thank you. So my old car setup, pretty simple. We go with as much, is it this piece? Yeah, it's this piece. So basically we're going to be going and putting on a predominantly grip onto the car. And then once all of that is done, we are going to be having a good time. Still think that the compressor is actually going to be the best suspension in the game. Now, I might be wrong once other things are fully leveled up, but I'm pretty sure that that is going to be the best thingamajig. Now, was I using the Gorilla or was I using... Oh no, I was actually using this. So yeah, this is the car setup that I do prefer to use. So I do prefer to have power and grip on the car, but you can see here that with my aerodynamics, it's only on 40. So that is a really, really big problem, because it means I have no power. So predominantly I want to stay away from any tracks that are going to focus on speed. So with this car setup, you're going to want to stay away from Series 1 because it has 2 speed tracks on it. Series 2 is fine. Series 3, again, is kind of fine, but obviously it's wet racing. Series 4, is this 4 or is this 5? I don't even know. The numbers keep disappearing, guys. Let's get those numbers back. So Series 4, you're perfectly fine using the grip setup or the speed setup. The only problem that you're going to have when it comes to the grip setup is Bahrain, because obviously it is a predominantly speed focused track with 2 huge straights on the track. Series 5, you're actually gonna, in my opinion, you're gonna want to go with a 50-50 setup. So if you try and balance your aerodynamics, your power and your grip, you're probably gonna have a better time. Now in Series 6, you're gonna want to go for speed. Especially now that we can overtake, you are going to want to buff up that speed because you do have China. So China is going to be a hugely beneficial track if you've got speed. Is Japan in this? Is this Japan? Yeah, Japan is a little bit more focused on grip though. So if you do focus your car onto speed, you are going to suffer in Japan. But I still think that... like China is a more common track, so speed is definitely going to be a big plus in Series 6. Series 7, you literally want to use the setup that I'm using right now, all out grip slash power, because you want to get that overtaking done. Series 8, in my opinion, I actually prefer to go grip in Series 8. I find it a lot more consistent when it comes to winning, because you can get those better grid qualifiers and then just maintain your position in front of your opponent. So I do think grip is better for Series 8. For Series 9, I would 100% go for grip, because I just find that grip is way better in Series 9. And you also want to go for drivers that have long tyre consistency. So people like Grosjean, Bottas, because there's a few tracks in here that you can literally do a one stop in, which is really, really nice. Series 10, again, I would suggest that you go with, like, say, a 50-50 lineup, because it's very nice, but then obviously at the same time, as you've seen, speed can be very dominant in Series 10. But I would say bring yourself a little bit more power and a little bit more grip than what I done in the first race in this video, just in case you do happen to get some of the other tracks. I just kind of got a little bit lucky with speed. But yeah, so we're going to drop that back down into Series 7, which is going to be a 50-50% chance of either Singapore or Monaco. And we're going to jump in with the grip, and I'm going to show you the difference in the power of the car. Now, this is why I said it's very, very important to make sure you're setting your car up to be able to race in the area that you're racing. Pay attention to what tracks are in your area. So we've got Singapore, which is a little bit better than Monaco. Obviously, if you happen to get Singapore and your car is set up a little bit more on the speed side, then you're going to be okay. But I would suggest that you still bring that grip into the car. Now, the problem with bringing grip on the car is it is going to be a lot slower. So you are going to have a little bit of a problem with the races if your opponent is running a faster car, and you aren't going to be overtaking a huge amount because your car doesn't have the top speed. Now, a lot of people don't understand what each thing does. So if you do want me to release like a more in-depth video on what each statistic actually provides your car, so like such as power or grip or aerodynamics, whatever, do put that down in the comments if you are struggling to understand what they each do. And I will possibly go ahead and release a better video like explaining that in a little bit more detail. But you can see here my opponent's going pretty hard. He's going, you know, pedal to the metal, balls to the wall, trying to get back in front of me. That's okay. If he wants to win, he can win. But you can see the difference here, guys. Obviously, with this setup, you're not looking at going balls to the wall and trying to keep in front of your opponent because you don't have the speed. You have the power and the grip, so when it comes to being able to take those corners and get like pretty powerful off of the line, that's what you're going to be looking at doing. So you can see here that at the moment Singapore is a 7-lap track, so that does throw me off a little bit as well, but we're going to see if we can make this work. Now, the one thing that I would say to you guys would be when it comes to the grip strategy, you're actually going to be wanting to play like a slow burn strategy, and you need to sort of like, what's the word I'm thinking of? You need to punish people in the middle of the race when they all start to pit. So you can see here, everyone's starting to pit now, and this is where you're going to speed up the second driver to get him in front of those guys that have gone into the pit. You're then going to slow him down immediately. 3/4 of the way through lap 3, you're then going to hit the turbo button and you're going to leave that bad boy on. So now we're going to be leaving this bad boy on. We're going to move over to Grosjean. We're in the same spot so you don't close that pit time gap. So you can see here, I've got probably like a 4-second pit time gap. Now, this is the big thing here. Now, I'm going to get one of my drivers in front of my opponent and I'm going to stay out. Even though it's raining, I'm going to stay out because there's going to be quite a lot of people in front of Grosjean that should go into the pits if they haven't already pitted. Now, unfortunately, they didn't actually go into the pits, so that's a little bit of a downsider for me. But we're going to continue to go round the track on turbo, and now that we're on lap 4, we're actually going to tell my drivers, because it's raining, we're actually going to go into the pits for rain. But if we didn't have rain, we would have gone into the pits for another set of hard tyres. Now, the big mistake that people make is going into the pits and putting on soft tyres, and then not having enough tyre to get them to the end of the race or make sure that they can still turbo till the end of the race. So I kind of think that I'm a little bit too far away from my opponent to actually be able to win this race. But hey, that's what happens sometimes. But you can see here that sometimes the qualifying is what can seriously screw you up. And this is why I'm telling you, it is really super important to make sure that you are using drivers with good consistency. Now, although Grosjean is a solid pick and he is probably one of my favourites to suggest for people to use, his consistency sucks. So if you are having a hard time winning races because your opponent's cars are either better than yours or you just don't have the ability to actually set your car up to race in a particular area too well, then bear in mind that maybe you'll be able to win races just by literally switching out certain drivers. Like, I'm not being funny, but if I was to actually go and switch somebody like Sergio Perez in for Grosjean or Albon in for Grosjean, then my consistency would be better. So hopefully he will qualify slightly higher on the grid. But you do also want to keep in mind about people. Why is it saying for repairs? I don't want to go in for repairs. The race is already over. No, don't slow down. He's going to have to slow down because I've screwed up the thing again. So you can see here, like, we're not actually able to actually catch up to my opponent. The qualifier was way too far away. But this is the biggest issue when it comes to obviously running the grip strategy. You don't have that power. If you are significantly further behind your opponent, you don't have that power to catch up. So sometimes substituting some of your power and your grip to bring in some aerodynamics is very, very important depending on where you're racing. Now, I'm in a position that obviously losing these races doesn't mean anything to me. So that's I suppose a little bit of a luxury. But this is why I'm telling you it is super important to actually worry about what you're doing with your car. Money is no object now in the new series, or in the 2020 season. So having stuff to be upgraded, you should literally not have anything in your catalog that needs upgrading. Look at how much money I have and look at everything. Everything is completely maxed. So there should never be any reason that you should be saying, oh, well, I have no money to level something up. If you have no money and you have stuff to level up and you're struggling to win, then you need to seriously work on fixing your car setup and dropping back down the ranks. Stop trying, like, for example, the car setup that I'm running right now, the grip setup, I would never dream of trying to race that in Series 10 because it's just never going to work. I'm going to show you. Like, I am going to get absolutely stomped if I try to race in this area with this car setup because there is no power. Like, the NPCs of the car is going to be better. You can see here my opponent has more flags, which would normally tell you that they are also going to have a better car level than you. They've probably been farming out the higher chests, so they might have better cars. You can see here we've got the exact same track as we just raced in Singapore. Now, it looks like qualifying, we've actually done really good on qualifying. So you can see the difference that sometimes qualifying can literally be the difference between whether or not you win or lose a race. Now, my opponent in the last race in Series 7 on the exact same track, we just raced Singapore in Series 7, but we got rain, which is not good for Grosjean. We had a really bad qualify from Grosjean. My opponent got a really good qualify, and you can see the difference. Like, look at this. This time, both of my drivers are up in the distance, but you can see, because they are lacking in power, Kimi Räikkönen has actually just dropped down into 9th. Where did he qualify? 7th, 8th. So he's going to lose positions. Grosjean's just been overtaken. He's going to lose positions. They're both probably going to be overtaken again on this next corner, just going around here. You can see here, look, the corner that I was thinking. Actually, neither of them got overtaken, but I thought they were both going to lose a position on that corner as well. But you can see here, obviously, with my car setup being grip-based, you can see here that obviously in Singapore, being grip-based, my car is okay in Series 10. But if I was to have got the other track, which is like literally all about speed, you're going to get absolutely dumped on. So, even though every car setup can work in every single area, you just kind of need to get lucky if you are trying to focus your car predominantly on a certain kind of setup. So obviously, if I was racing in Series 10 with this setup, I would kind of be praying that I get Singapore or Monaco. Whereas if I was coming into this area with speed, I would be happy with Singapore. I would be happy with the other track. I can't remember where the other track is. You guys can tell me in the comments down below where the first track is. I think it's like, I don't know. I can't remember. I really can't remember where it is. But yeah, you can see that car setup means a lot in 2020. So do bear that in mind. Like, if you are trying to race around and you are getting absolutely shit stomped, bear that in mind, because this is the reason why you're getting absolutely dominated, is because you're not bringing the correct car setup for where you're trying to race. Now, I didn't realize that this was actually lap 3, so you can see here we did start turboing a little bit late, but it's the same strategy as what I told you on the last one in Series 7. You can see here we're going to turbo, try and get in front of anyone that is inside the pits. Same with Räikkönen, and we're turboing from the end, or sort of 3/4 the way round lap 3, the whole of lap 4, and then we're going to tell our guys to go into the pits for for hard tires. Now, you can see here, if I use Räikkönen's got 2 to 3 on soft tires, so that means that I'm either going to have to coast or I can go all out on hard tires. So I just say go with the hard tires, because then you can keep that turbo going and continue to actually race around the track very nicely and do some good stuff and things. So we actually screwed up our pit stop a little bit there because we didn't have our pit time gap. But hey, we're still in 7th place. We're still going to be turboing. We've got 4 laps of fuel. We've got 4 laps of fuel with Kimi Räikkönen, and both drivers can go solid all out because we got 3 laps on hard tyres. So Grosjean, having the superior tyre management, he can actually do 4 to 6. So you probably could have gone soft tyres with him, but I wouldn't suggest it. I would genuinely say just go with the hard tyre setup, because you can just turbo until the end of the race and then like kind of slow down on the final lap, and just be happy with the positions that you get. So you can see here that I can't overtake because my car don't have that speed. It doesn't have the power. So aerodynamics is your top speed. So if you have good aerodynamics, it means that your car's top speed will be better on straights, i.e. you can drive faster down a straight line. But as you can see here, grip means that you can turn corners quicker, you can turn corners at a faster speed. So obviously my car is working better when it comes to obviously going on corners, but it's not enough to actually catch up and overtake this guy in front of me. Even though I've been turboing for 4 laps, I still haven't been able to overtake. Is it Albon in front of me? It's Albon. He's on hard tyres. I'm on hard tyres. I'm turboing. He's not turboing. My car's too slow to overtake. That's literally the gist of this run. But even though my car is too slow to overtake, it's still powerful enough on the corners to stay in front of my opponent, who is currently on soft tyres. So bear that in mind. Even though he is on soft tyres, he can't get past us because we do have that better advantage on the corners. I can see here that every time I go onto a straight, my opponent does catch me up, but then as soon as I go onto corners, I massively overtake, or I get a drastic increase in like track. So I can see that he's more predominantly focused on aerodynamics rather than grip. So you've got to bear that in mind, guys. And you can see here, we won with a 6-point deficit. Now, that's against a guy that does have more flags. That doesn't, just because he does have more flags, doesn't mean that he set his car up better to race in the area that you are. A lot of people that race in this game will tend to just use the best parts that they can put on the car. So they'll like come into the brakes, for example, and they'll look through and they'll be like, oh, well, these are all showing red statistics. That's showing a little bit more aerodynamics, so I might use that, or whatever. And like they'll go through and they'll be like, just looking through, and they'll be like, oh, well, look, this one actually gives me 1 power, 1 aerodynamics, 3 reliability. Pit time, I don't need pit time, screw pit time, and I only lose 2 grips, so that's a better piece. No, this is a far superior piece if you're looking at having better reliability and better speed. But if you're actually looking at racing any track that you need grip for, so if you're looking at racing in Series 7, that piece is going to destroy your car and you're never going to win a single thing. So you've got to bear that in mind, guys. So you have to seriously look at what you're racing in, where you're racing, because, like, for example, this track here, this like that looks like Japan track. That third track is going to be predominantly grip focused, because even though you have 2 huge straights, you've got a lot of grip that's needed on this track. So I'm thinking that Series 7 is going to be a very, very grip-dependent section. Whereas if you scroll all the way down into Series 12, you're going to see, other than Australia, you're going to need yourself some speed. Because of the fact that you've got quite a lot of tracks here that are going to be predominantly focused on speed. So Germany, you're going to need some speed. Silverstone, you definitely need some speed. What's Spain like? Spain is speed. So Series 10, you need speed, guys. Series 12, you need speed. So bear that in mind. You really need to build your car to the best you can for where you're trying to race. If you haven't got a car that is good enough to race in an area, don't push your car to the limit. Try and use your Series 2019 team. If your 2019 team is good, then do it. Like, you are going to have more than enough money to even go through your 2019 setup and level up all of your old 2019 car parts and even make your 2019 car able to race in a certain area. So you can see here, like if you're trying to race in an area, like say you're trying to race in Series 10 and your car can't race it because it's got no speed, then build your 2019 team for speed and race that area 3 times a day until you get enough flags to move on out of that area. Literally, just because you can race in Series 10, don't race there if you can't win like almost every race. If you're winning 2 races and losing 1, then fine, because you're still going to be increasing your flags. But if you're losing 2 races and winning 1 race, then like stop racing it. It's as simple as that. Like, just move down the ranks and farm out your race crates, because these race crates are literally your best friend. I don't know how many times I can say this in a video. They are your best friend, and you can literally farm them out so easy. Like, I can literally go and use my grip setup, come down into Series 2, and I can race this track, and I can come away with like 38 to 40 points easily, which means that I race Series 2 3 times, and I get a race crate. You know, yeah, you're not going to be earning flags to be moving up and moving into the next arena, but if your car already isn't good enough to race in the arena that you're racing in, why does it matter about getting flags to unlock Series 12 if you can't race in Series 9? Like, if you can't win in Series 9, you don't need to unlock Series 10. If you can't race in Series 4, you don't need to unlock Series 5 or 6. You know, so bear that in mind. Like, look at this grip setup. Like, this grip setup has put me in 9th and 11th. Like, that's a good qualifying position. We're going to hit the the hard tires. We're going to hit the turbo at the start of the race. And I guarantee in Series 2, we're going to go and get like 3 to 4 places straight off of the grid start. Look at Grosjean, already taken 1 spot. We're going to go ahead and... Okay, I lied. We're not going to go get 3 or 4 spaces off of the start. I completely lied, so ignore that quote. I didn't say that, guys. You didn't hear a thing. I didn't say it. I completely lied. But you can see here, the same setup. Like, so many people down here think, oh, well, I can go with triple soft tire setup. Like, no. Why do you want to go with a triple soft tire setup? Because then you're going to go into the pit twice, and you're going to, like, literally lose, like, 3 to 4 grid positions both times you go into the pit. So effectively you're going to like drop like 6 to 7 places by going into the pit twice. So if you go into the pit twice, you need to use your soft tires and turbo and hope that you can overtake. Whereas if you only go into the pit once, you're going to overtake easily, and then you're never going to have to play catch up. Now, look at my opponent. He's on soft tyres and hard tyres. We're on double hard tyres. People are overtaking us. So what? Let them overtake us, because we're going to overtake them when they go into the pit. And this is the big key. Now, we're going to turbo just a little bit down the straight. Like I told you before, get in front of those guys that are in the pit, because we don't want to be held up. We're currently in 7th and 8th, and we're getting prepared to use our turbo run. So we're currently, where are we? We're halfway to 3/4 of the way around the track on soft tyres. We're going to turbo our front runner, which is Grosjean. We're going to leave our second runner in the back just a little bit longer so that we can build up that sort of 4-second pit stop gap. As he comes round the corner, we've got that gap. Now we speed up Kimi Räikkönen. We're going to hit him down the straight. He's going to overtake somebody in the pit, which is perfect. We're going to continue to go turboing down the straight with Grosjean, and we're on lap 4. So anyone else that he overtakes while on lap 4 is just a nice bonus. We're going to tell him to go into the pit for a hard tyre change. Kimi Raikkonen, the same deal, go into the pit for that tyre change. Now, Kimi Raikkonen's actually been driving better than Grosjean, so he's closed that gap. So we're going to have to slow him down. And then we're still going to... He's actually raced too well, so he's actually been slowed down quite a bit. We're going to turbo out of the pit to try and not lose any positions, but we did actually lose that 4th place. And then as we come out, we're going to slow it down. Kimi Raikkonen's managed to get back out in 8th place. We're going to slow it down. And now we're going to go back to coasting. Now look at my opponent. He's currently in 15th and 24th. We've pit once and we're up in 5th and 8th. This is super, super important because now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to try and maintain that position just a little bit, but we're not going to worry if we do get overtaken because the predominantly most of these drivers or racers are going to go into the pit again because this is the way the game is designed. They're going to be pitting a second time, except for Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, who have already pitted a second time. Bottas and Vettel normally do a one-stop on this track, so actually none of them are going to pit again, I don't think, except for Albon. So we are going to be able to overtake Albon, but the others I don't think we will. So Kimi Raikkonen and Bottas. Kimi Raikkonen's broke his car, who the hell cares? We're going to speed up Grosjean as he goes round this corner. We're going to speed up Kimi as he goes round this corner. We're going to hope that we overtake somebody in the pit, but we might not. We did actually, looks like we overtake Albon. Did we overtake Albon? I don't know. Bottas, in fact. Bottas went into the pit. Nice. So we didn't actually overtake Albon, but hey, who cares? We're going to turbo till the end of the race. Now, bearing in mind as well, this is the grip setup. So if you was using like a more speed setup, obviously this track is all about speed. You can see here on turbo, I'm struggling to overtake because I have 41 aerodynamics. There's no top speed in this car. Power will help you get to your top speed quicker to help you overtake. Grip will make it so that you can overtake better because you can swing out to the side of the car better / turn the corners better, but your aerodynamics means your car's top speed. So obviously if your car's only going 170 miles an hour but your opponent's car is going 180 miles an hour, you're not going to catch him because he's faster than you. So it doesn't matter how long the straight is, he's still going to be faster than you. So bear that in mind. You can see here we finished in 3rd and 5th. That is a 42-point finish. If you get 3 races like this, you get a car crate, and it doesn't matter if you lose. Like, I'm not being funny, but if my opponent had a better car and he finished in 2nd and 4th, I would only lose 4,000 gold, but I would still come away with 42 points. So racing in these lower areas means that you don't care if you win or lose money. Like, what's 8,000 gold? Like, 8,000 gold is absolutely nothing when you're racing in like the higher series. So just drop your rank down. And look at that, 42 points on the driver's chest. That means 3 races on that crate. And that crate will open up on the league that you're in. So for me, every one of those driver crates will open up a Series 10 value crate. So the only benefit of getting Series 11 unlocked would be while I'm racing these lower levels down here, these crates will give me better rewards. That's literally all they do. So bear that in mind, guys. But that's going to be it for today's video. I know it's super long. I know I've not stopped talking, but if you're still here, I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. And my money is 911. Call the police, guys. Call the police.